Have you ever stopped to consider the far-reaching implications of Russia's aggressive actions on a global scale? It's a question that, in recent times, has taken on a whole new level of urgency. Today we find ourselves in the midst of a geopolitical quagmire, where the echoes of Russia's aggression are heard far beyond the borders of Ukraine. This aggression is not merely a regional issue, it's a global one. It's a humanitarian crisis, with millions of people displaced and in desperate need of aid. It's a destabilization of an entire region, with the potential for spillover effects that could impact neighboring countries. It's a violation of sovereignty, a dangerous precedent that threatens the very fabric of international relations. But the effects of this aggression extend further still. It's an economic disruption, a tremor that has sent shockwaves through global trade and investment. It's the violation of principles that underpin our international system, principles of peace, respect, and cooperation. And so, we find ourselves at a crossroads, a point where we must confront the reality of Russia's actions and their far-reaching implications. As we delve into these issues, we challenge you to think about the ripple effects of such actions on the world. Take a moment to imagine the human faces behind the headlines. The conflict has triggered a heart-wrenching humanitarian crisis. Millions of innocent lives have been uprooted, displaced, and left in desperate need of aid. But the ripple effects don't stop at Ukraine's borders. The conflict threatens to destabilize the broader region, with the potential for spillover effects into neighboring countries, igniting a powder keg of uncertainty and fear. Alongside this, Russia's actions trample over the sovereignty of Ukraine, setting a perilous precedent on the world stage. This blatant disregard for international boundaries begs the question, who could be next? And then there's the economic disruption. The conflict has thrown sand into the gears of global trade and investment. Supply chains are strained, markets are rattled, and economies far beyond the immediate region are feeling the pinch. This is not just a regional crisis, it's a global predicament. The economic and humanitarian consequences of this conflict are immense, but they are just the tip of the iceberg. The stakes are high, and the world watches on, bracing for what might come next. How secure do you feel in your energy supply? Now let's consider the energy implications of the conflict. Ukraine is more than just a battleground, it's a major transit route for natural gas to Europe. Imagine, if you will, a disruption in this supply. It's not just about flickering lights or cold homes, but about entire industries grinding to a halt. We're talking about factories closing, jobs lost, economies teetering on the brink. But the energy conversation doesn't stop at natural gas. Ukraine is also home to several nuclear facilities. Now, envision a conflict zone where the safety and security of these nuclear materials are at risk. The potential for a nuclear disaster is a chilling thought. We've seen the devastating effects of nuclear incidents in the past, and the thought of such a catastrophe in the midst of an active conflict is alarming. These are grave risks we cannot afford to ignore. Opening, how can we stand by while these violations occur? As we navigate these turbulent times, it's essential to understand why the world needs to oppose Putin and Russia's actions. The blatant violation of international law, such as the invasion of a sovereign nation, sets a dangerous precedent that challenges the very fabric of global order. Russia's aggressive foreign policy and expansionist ambitions aren't just a threat to Ukraine, they are a menace to the stability of Europe and the world, pushing us closer to the brink of widespread conflict. In addition, the authoritarian nature of Putin's regime, marked by the repression of dissent and crackdown on civil liberties, undermines the democratic values we hold dear. This regime's actions pose a serious threat to freedom and human rights, casting a dark shadow over the future of democracy. Moreover, Russia's support for authoritarian regimes and non-state actors contributes to instability and perpetuates conflict across the globe. This destabilizing influence further strains international relations and hampers efforts towards global peace. In a world where digital connectivity is vital, Russia's interference in democratic processes, including cyber attacks and disinformation campaigns, threatens the integrity of democratic institutions. This is not just an attack on one nation, but an attack on the idea of democracy itself. Closing. Stay informed, engage in meaningful conversations, and wherever possible, take action. Together, we can make a difference in standing against aggression and upholding the principles of peace and justice.